Hey guys, in today's video we're going to talk about how to make a great backswing. All right guys, let's talk about how to make a great backswing back outside at the Bethlehem Golf Club. There's a couple things with the backswing that I'm always looking for in a great swing. I'm trying to find commonalities amongst good ball strikers and the great players. While they all do things subtly different, what are the handful of things that they all do? And in the past 10 years or so of studying swings, there's a couple of fundamental pieces that I look for, whether it be in-person lessons, online lessons, or on our membership site, that I want to see to build a great backswing. I'm going to show you here in a minute a video and kind of break it down and go through what we're looking for, and then we'll hop back and we'll go over how to do those backswing movements. All right guys, so let's take a look at Adam Scott here now. This particular face-on video of Adam Scott is the one I use all the time in my online lessons, in my in-person lessons, for everything for the membership site. This is the guy that I will use as an example or model for what you're supposed to do during your backswing. Not that we all need to swing exactly like him, but he serves a great model. So I do two things always in the beginning without fail. I will draw a circle around his head like this, and I will draw a line down the right leg. So these are my kind of two non-negotiable pieces in the beginning. Now when we watch him make a backswing, what you're going to notice is more or less his head just stays in the circle, to keep it simple. And then his right leg, you'll see, stays inside of that line. And in fact, most good players will actually create a little bit of space between their right hip and that line because of their hip turn. So these two pieces of the backswing, I would say, are two fundamental things that good players do that we want to build into our backswing. But what else does he do when he goes back? There's a couple other stock pieces. Number one that I'm looking at is the amount he has turned. So I'm looking at hip turn amounts and shoulder turn. So I'll just kind of look at where his shoulders turn and draw a baseline down. And at 78 there, 77, he's went 13 degrees past 90, right? So basically for the shoulder turn, I'm just looking for, do you have at least a 90-degree shoulder turn as a stock model? Can we be a little short of that or a little more? Of course, you just have to match the pieces. In general, 90-degree shoulder turn. And I'm looking at hip turn. Does he have about 45? So I'm looking at where is this belt buckle pointed in space? And those are the two turn pieces I'm looking for. That would be a pretty fundamental thing amongst good players. And then the two other pieces I'm looking at would be the left leg or lead leg motion. So if I just kind of drew a line here for what his left leg looked like, we'll see that it's bent inward a little bit, or it's internally rotated. So the more that leg goes in, the easier the hip turn is. When I'm looking at this, for players, I'll draw kind of a straight line down from the edge of their hip, and I want to see that their left leg has gone in. If this is the edge of their hip, I go straight line down. I want their left leg in some amount over this way from that line. Two reasons. One, because of the turn I mentioned. Two, because of equal and opposite. If you go internally rotated during the backswing or let your knee kick in a little bit, it's easier to externally rotate it during the downswing or kick out, which has benefits for our rotation. So that would be piece number 4. And then really the fifth piece I'm looking for is going to be this up here, which is the width that he has. So if I clear these pieces out, I'm kind of looking at how wide is his right arm here, and the distance away from his shoulder. So if I draw a line there and a line there, I'd like you to be probably 90 degrees with your right arm at the top, or a little bit wider would be great. And then obviously he has good wrist conditions here, good club face here. He's hitting a wedge, but the stock pieces, head stays in the circle, right hip stays within this line, right? So let's go back to the beginning. Head stays in the circle, right leg stays within the line. Fundamentals, left leg works slightly in here during our backswing. That would be piece number 3. He's got 90 degrees of shoulder turn, and he's got at least 45 degrees of hip turn with width of the right arm. Those are the fundamental pieces. That's what I would be looking for if I was going to analyze my swing from face on. All right guys, so there you saw the backswing of Adam Scott. That particular video I use all the time as an example. We don't all need to swing like Adam Scott. It'd be nice if we did. We'd take his bank account, his looks, etc., etc. But he has a beautiful backswing structure. So you saw the two main parts that I always do. When I'm analyzing a video, always, without fail, I draw a circle around the head and I draw a line up the right leg. Okay, so as I mentioned, when I'm looking back, essentially what I'm looking for is I want the head to stay in the circle and I want that right hip to stay in the line. Those are two basic number one and number two things I'm looking for. Of course, during the backswing, some of you won't stay in that circle there with your head. So I'm okay with some movement off of it when you go back, but if you move off of it, you have to recenter yourself. So for example, let's say during the backswing, you move off the ball 3 inches. You then need to move forward an additional 3 inches to recenter. If you do that and you get back into the circle on your way down, I'm perfectly fine. If you can't, then let's just stay centered and keep it simple. So when I'm making my backswing, head in the circle, right? Now, the right hip motion, a lot of you guys during the backswing want to get this right hip sway, right? Or lateral motion in this direction. The baseline idea is your right hip's either going to move this way, sway, or it's going to turn back behind you. The more your hips turn and your right hip turns behind you, the more space you will create between that line. I want on it or just a little space. I don't want a ton of space and I don't want to break the line. So that's something in terms of practice. You can put an object behind you, like your golf bag, put it right on your right leg here like this, and make a backswing and create just a little bit of space there. If you watch our old Stay Centered videos or how to eliminate sway, you'll see some cool drills in there. So those are two baseline fundamental pieces. In terms of overall turn, right? Because that's kind of like where you should be in space. In terms of turn, I'm looking for things that are cliche and old school, right? Hips turning how much? 45, shoulders turning 90. Now, one thing that we saw in his video that I see in most good players is how that left leg works. And how we saw his left leg works is going to influence the turn, meaning this particular part of your left leg, the more it works internally, like this, which would be your left knee in towards your right knee, as you turn back, the more that left leg has a little angle there and turns in, the more you can turn your pelvis and your hips, which means the more you can turn your upper body. There's pretty much a direct one-to-one correlation across the board there, meaning the more I turn my hips during the backswing, what happens? That means the more I can turn my shoulders. Now also the opposite's true. The less I turn my hips during the backswing, the less I can turn my shoulders. How much should you turn? I would recommend getting your hips to 45 and your shoulders to 90 and feel whatever you need to feel to get to those points while still keeping your head in the circle and using that line. These are checkpoints you should use. You may have to feel whatever you need to feel, hit those checkpoints. So the more this left knee works in, the more your belt buckle and hips can turn, which means more upper body turn. So if you're struggling getting to a 90-degree shoulder turn, check out that leg motion. Make sure you have a little bit of internal. You can even let your heel pick up a little bit when you go back as well. So those are really the meat and potatoes part. And then like I said at the top, I like to see some minor things there with arm structure, looking for the right arm about 90 degrees, good width there, good wrist conditions from the top. But if you can keep your head in the circle, if you can keep your right hip underneath and get those amounts of turns, then your backswing should be pretty darn good and set you up for an awesome downswing. Some people make the argument that backswing doesn't matter, and I couldn't disagree more with that rather. The backswing matters incredibly. While you don't hit the ball from your backswing, you have to swing down from wherever you're coming from. Let me say that again. You have to swing down from wherever you're coming from. So do yourself a favor, get your backswing good. Use this video as checkpoints for this and our previous video. Feel whatever you need to feel to hit those checkpoints. Hope this helps. Hope this makes sense. If you guys have any questions, always leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, please do us a favor, click the like button down below. Click the notification bell. Also, please subscribe if you haven't. If you do want more instruction from me, tailored for you, check out our membership site, cogornogolf.com. Link is in the description down below. Thank you guys.